Now watch me chop off your hair. You excuse for a wife. Mara was threatened by her husband's mistress, but she never imagined the man she loved would hold her down while his mistress cut her hair. But that's exactly what happened to Mara. 7 months pregnant, terrified, and begging him to stop. And when he kicked her out into the storm with nothing but her phone and her unborn child to protect, she thought her story was over. But what Cade didn't know was this. Mara has 3 brothers, 3 powerful brothers. And when they found her shaking in the rain, they didn't just save her. They declared war. Hello, friends. Welcome to our story. Right now, you're about to witness betrayal, justice, and the rise of a woman who refuses to stay broken. If you're ready, hit the like and the subscribe button, and let's begin, so you would see how Mara takes back her life in full dignity. Don't forget to tell us in the comments section where you are watching from, because we care to know. Rainwater streamed down the windows as Mara Lyell staggered backward, one hand shielding her swollen belly, the other gripping the doorway, as if it were the last thing keeping her alive. The lights of the house shined, throwing long, distorted shadows across the floor. Her breath shook, her heart raced, and yet the only sound that filled the room was the sharp click of Celine Cross's designer heels as she stepped closer, scissors glinting under the chandelier. Mara didn't even have time to scream before Cade Varon grabbed her from behind. His fingers dug into her arms, tightening until she felt her circulation slow. The shock of it stole her voice. She had seen him angry before, irritated, condescending, but never like this. His face was stone, his eyes were hollow, and behind them something cold and calculating had settled in. "Hold still," he said, as if she were a misbehaving pet, as if she were nothing. "Cade, please, what are you doing?" Mara gasped, her legs trembling beneath the weight of him, and the weight of their unborn daughter pressing against her ribs. "I'm pregnant. You're hurting me." "That's the point," Celine purred, circling around with the scissors raised. Her long red dress shimmered, mocking Mara's tear-stained tank top and loose maternity sweatpants. "You made everything so boring, Mara. Always whining about doctor's appointments and vitamins and nausea. Cade needs a woman who can keep up, not someone like you." Cade's grip tightened. "Cut it!" The first snip of the scissors sliced through Mara's hair. Thick coils of the hair being cut fell against her shoulders, slipping down her chest. Panic and humiliation crashed over her in a suffocating wave. She fought to pull away, but Cade yanked her harder, forcing her still. "Stop it! Stop, please! Cade, what did I do? Why are you doing this?" Her voice cracked, raw and terrified. Celine leaned in, lips curling. "Because you look too proud to even ask that question in the first place. Let's fix that." The scissors slashed again, and long strands fell to the floor. Mara choked on a sob. She wasn't vain, never had been. But her hair had been her comfort, her connection to her mother and grandmother before her. Cutting it wasn't about beauty, it was about domination, about erasing her. And Cade watched without flinching. A final harsh snip echoed in the silent house. Celine stepped back to admire her work. Mara's reflection in the glass door barely looked human. Jagged tufts stuck out, and on seeing that, tears streaked her cheeks. Her belly rose like a plea for mercy that would never come. Cade released her, letting her fall forward. "You've been ruining my future," he said coldly, "dragging me down with your fragility, your neediness, your limitations." I'm carrying your child, Mara whispered, her voice crumbling. He shrugged. That was your choice, not mine. In that split second, Mara saw something she had never seen in her husband before. Disgust. Not anger, not disappointment, pure disgust. Get out, he said. The words didn't make sense. The pain in her scalp throbbed. Her knees trembled. What? Cade, it's raining. I don't even have shoes on. Not my problem. He flicked his hand toward the door. Leave. Now. Celine smirked, crossing her arms. He's upgraded, sweetheart. Mara stepped backward, dizzy. She reached for her phone on the counter, but Cade snatched it first and tossed it at her feet. When she picked it up, the screen displayed something that made her chest collapse inward. Half her contacts were gone. Others were labeled blocked in bold gray text. Every family member, every friend, every emergency number. She shook her head in disbelief. You did this? Cade didn't even bother answering. The security system beeped as he opened the house door. A cold blast of wind swept inside, making Mara's skin break into goosebumps. Walk, he said. Her tears mixed with the rain as she stepped out into the storm. She turned back once, praying he would show some flicker of humanity. But he only watched her, like she was a burden he'd finally thrown away. Then he shut the door. The click from the door being echoed through the empty hallway. Mara collapsed against the wall, one hand instinctively covering her belly. Her heart felt like glass in her chest. She slid down onto the cold floor, breaths coming in sharp bursts. Her baby kicked softly, as if asking, "Are we safe?" "No," Mara whispered. "We're not." Her fingers trembled as she unlocked her phone. She tried calling her mother first. Call failed. Her father. Number not in service. Her best friend. Blocked. Her hands shook harder. She tried 5 more people. Every single call failed. Cade had planned this. Every number she depended on was gone. Thunder cracked overhead, loud enough to jolt her. Tears blurred the phone screen until she could barely see. Then she remembered one number Cade didn't know existed. Her brother Arik's old work phone. She'd memorized it years ago, long before Cade came into her life. The one number Cade could never delete. But what if Cade had been telling the truth? What if Arik hated her now? What if her family didn't want anything to do with her? Her thumb hovered over the call button. Her pulse pounded loudly in her ears. She was shivering, soaked, terrified. But her baby kicked again, and that was enough. She pressed the dial button. The ringtone buzzed once, twice, then on the third time. "Mara!" Arik's voice burst through the speaker, sharp with alarm. "Where are you?" Her breath broke. "Arik!" He threw me out. I don't know where to go. Don't move!" His tone dropped into something dangerous. "We're coming to get you." She sobbed, gripping the phone like a lifeline. "Please hurry." "We're already on our way." The call ended. Wind howled across the rooftop parking deck as Mara curled into herself, trying to shield her belly from the rain. Minutes dragged like hours. Lightning flashed. The storm intensified. Her teeth chattered uncontrollably. Then headlights exploded across the darkness, one massive SUV, then another, then a third. Engines rumbled like an approaching army. Her brothers, her last hope. She exhaled a shaking breath, whispering, "Please, just get me out of here." And the doors opened. Arik Lyle stepped out first, the rain soaking his tailored coat instantly, but he didn't seem to feel it. His eyes scanned the rooftop until they locked onto Mara, shivering, hair butchered, clothes plastered to her skin, hand trembling over her belly. For a moment, something ancient, and ferrule flickered across his face. "Mara!" he whispered, already moving toward her. Behind him, Zev slammed his door open so hard the metal vibrated. He didn't walk, he stormed. Cale came around the third SUV with a tablet already in hand, typing furiously even as he jogged. But it was Arik who reached her first. He dropped to his knees in the rain, cupping her face gently. "What did he do to you?" Mara's lips trembled. She tried to speak, but no words came. Her throat felt raw, burned from crying. A sob tore through her chest before she could stop it, and she collapsed into Arik's arms. He held her tightly, jaw clenched, eyes burning with a rage she had never seen in him. "You're safe now. Do you hear me? You're safe." Zev approached, fists balled at his sides. When he saw the uneven chunks of hair framing Mara's face, he froze mid-step. "He did that?" His voice was low, dangerous. Mara nodded, barely. The air changed. Even the rain seemed to pause. Cale exhaled slowly through his nose, his expression darkening as he scanned her from head to toe. "He's dead," he muttered. "He just hasn't been informed yet." Mara shook her head weakly. "Please, I don't want to fight. I just want to go home." Arik lifted her carefully, his arms steady despite her trembling body. "This is home now," he said. "With us." Zev opened the SUV door, laying a blanket across the seat. Arik placed her inside gently, tucking the blanket around her as if she were glass. Zev crouched beside her, hand hovering over her belly without touching. "You okay, little one?" he whispered. The baby kicked. It was the first moment of warmth Mara had felt all night. As the brothers climbed into the SUVs, the storm intensified, sheets of rain pelting the rooftop. Arik started the engine, the interior filling with soft heat. Mara leaned her head back, exhaustion pulling at her eyelids. But closing her eyes brought back everything. Cade's grip, Celine's laughter, the cold blade of scissors against her scalp. She jerked awake with a gasp. Arik glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Don't sleep yet. We're not far, but I need you awake. Tell me, did he hurt the baby?" "No," Mara whispered. "I think she's okay." "Good." He nodded once. "We'll have the doctor waiting." Cale's voice crackled through the SUV's intercom. "Arik, the building's cameras show Cade returning to the penthouse. Alone." Arik's jaw flexed. "He didn't follow her?" "No. He thinks he broke her already." Zev let out a humorless laugh. "He really doesn't know her at all." Mara's throat tightened. She didn't feel strong. She didn't feel brave. She felt like a ghost wearing her own skin. But hearing her brothers talk like this, it stirred something inside her, something small, fragile, but alive. Arik's estate sat on a hill overlooking the city, lights glowing warmly through the storm. By the time they arrived, medical staff were already waiting under the covered entrance. Arik carried Mara inside, refusing the stretcher offered. "I've got her," he said. The doctor led them into a private room. "Let's check the baby first." Mara lay back, breath trembling. Gel spread across her abdomen, cold but grounding. As the ultrasound wand moved, the screen flickered to life. A heartbeat, strong, steady. Mara exhaled a sob of relief. "She's okay." Zev turned away for a second, wiping his eyes discreetly. Cale's shoulders dropped a fraction. Arik closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. "She's a fighter," the doctor said gently. Mara swallowed hard. "She shouldn't have to be." "We'll make sure she doesn't," Arik said softly. As the medical team treated the bruises on her arms and the tender swelling near her ribs, Mara tried not to wince. Zev paced the room like a caged animal. Cale typed furiously, pulling up financial records, emails, messages. Arik stood by Mara's side, holding her hand the entire time. When the doctors finally left, Mara looked at her brothers, feeling both grateful and ashamed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have told you earlier. I should have left him sooner." Arik knelt beside the bed, gripping her hand. "Mara, look at me." She hesitated. "None of this is your fault," he said. "A monster doesn't reveal himself on the first day. He waited until you were isolated, vulnerable, pregnant." Kale nodded. "Abusers design their traps. You didn't fall. You were pushed." Zev sat at the foot of the bed, voice thick. "And we should have seen it sooner. That's on us." Mara shook her head, tears welling again. "He made me believe you didn't want me around. He said you thought I was weak. That I embarrassed the family." Arik's eyes turned dark. "We never said that. Not once." "He blocked your numbers on my phone," she whispered. "He deleted messages. I thought you all hated me." Silence filled the room, heavy, furious, heartbreaking. Zev stood abruptly. "I'm going to kill him." "Zev," Arik warned. "No, Arik. I mean it. I'm done being calm. Look at her. Look at what he did." "We'll handle it," Kale interjected, scrolling through another document. "Legally, financially, publicly. There are better ways to end a man than burying him." Zev gritted his teeth but said nothing. Arik squeezed Mara's hand, grounding her. "Tonight, all you do is rest. Let us take everything else from here." Mara wanted to believe him, but the fear still lingered like a shadow. What if Cade came after her? What if he took the baby? What if her brothers got dragged into danger because of her mistakes? Arik seemed to read her thoughts. "You're safe," he repeated softly, "and he will never touch you again." She wanted those words to be true. She prayed they were. Outside, thunder shook the windows. Inside, Mara closed her eyes for the first time without flinching. She didn't know it yet, but the war for her freedom had just begun. Morning came slowly, gray light seeping through the curtains as Mara blinked awake. For a moment she didn't remember where she was. The soft bedding, the warm blanket tucked around her, the faint smell of cedar and coffee, it all felt foreign, too gentle, too safe. Then the memories crashed back. Cade's hands on her arms, Celine's voice dripping poison, the scissors, the rain, Arik's voice telling her she was safe. She exhaled shakily, touching her belly. The baby kicked softly, as if reminding her they were still here, still fighting. A quiet knock sounded on the door. Before she could answer, it cracked open, and Zev stuck his head in, hair messy, shirt wrinkled, eyes tired but alert. "You awake?" he whispered. Mara nodded. Zev stepped in, carrying a steaming cup of ginger tea. He held it out to her carefully, like it was fragile, like she was fragile. Arik made it. Well, he supervised someone making it. Despite everything, a tiny smile tugged at her lips. "Thank you." Zev sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her in a way that made her chest tighten. Not pity, regret, anger, protectiveness, all battling behind his dark eyes. "You want to tell us what happened?" he asked softly. The question hung heavy in the air. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. The words felt stuck, tangled with fear and shame. "I can't," she whispered. Zev nodded. "Then don't. You don't owe us a damn thing. Just know, whatever we think happened, it's worse. And whatever you think you deserve more." Mara inhaled shakily. He meant every word. A second knock interrupted them before she had to answer. The door opened again, and Kale entered, holding a tablet and a folder. Are you feeling strong enough to hear something? Cale asked, his voice gentle, but his eyes razor-sharp. Mara hesitated. What is it? Cale pulled up a document and turned the tablet toward her. Financial statements from your shared accounts. I traced every withdrawal. Mara's stomach twisted. How bad is it? Zev muttered. Brace yourself. Cale pulled up another page. He drained your inheritance account 3 months ago. 42,000. He did it in smaller transactions to avoid detection. Mara blinked rapidly, heart pounding. My inheritance? That was my grandmother's. Cale nodded grimly. I know, there's more. He swiped to the next screen. 2 credit cards opened in your name. $23,000 in charges. All to Celine's so-called wellness brand. Restaurants. Hotel suites. Mara covered her mouth as nausea rolled through her. And this, Cale continued, tapping the final document, is a forged authorization transferring your jewelry assets to a private buyer. Zev swore under his breath. Mara felt the room shrinking. He sold my jewelry? Even the necklace my mom left me? Cale's silence was answer enough. Tears blurred her vision. Her hands trembled around the cup of tea. How could he do that? She whispered. Why would he take everything from me? Zev leaned forward, his voice quiet but fierce. Because he's a coward. Because he thought you had no one. Because he thought he could get away with it. Cale turned the tablet off. He didn't expect you to call us. A flutter of warmth sparked in her chest, a fragile thread of hope. Before she could speak, Arik entered the room. He wasn't dressed in his usual perfect suit today. His sleeves were rolled up, tie absent, jaw set like he'd been fighting battles all morning. How are you feeling? He asked gently. Mara swallowed, overwhelmed. That's normal, Arik said. Take your time. She nodded. What's happening now? Arik pulled a chair to the side of her bed and sat. We're protecting you, and we're dealing with him. Her pulse quickened. What do you mean? I've notified our attorneys, Arik said. They're preparing the paperwork for emergency custody and marital asset protection. Mara's breath hitched. Custody? But the baby hasn't even... That's why, Cale cut in. You're vulnerable until she's born. We have to make sure he can't claim anything. Zev folded his arms. And he won't, not if we're breathing. Mara wiped her face, heart aching with gratitude and fear. Thank you. I don't know how to repay. You don't, Arik said firmly. You're our sister. Something in Mara broke. Something she'd been holding for far too long. She began to cry, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. Arik reached out, brushing a tear away. You're home, he murmured. We take care of our own. For the first time in months, maybe years, Mara felt something warm settle inside her chest. A sense of belonging, a sense of safety. But the moment didn't last. The door burst open, and one of Arik's security staff entered, face tense. Sir, you need to see this, he said, handing Arik a phone. Arik's eyes narrowed as he looked at the screen. His expression darkened slowly, like a storm cloud expanding across the horizon. What is it? Mara whispered. Zev stepped closer. Arik? Arik turned the phone around. A video, posted 30 minutes ago. Cade Varon laughing with Celine at a rooftop bar, champagne in his hand, arm around her waist. His caption, out with the trash, onto better things. Mara's breath caught. A stabbing pain shot through her chest. Her brothers went still. Zev looked ready to break something. Cale's jaw clenched. Arik set the phone down, exhaling slowly through his nose. Mara shook her head in disbelief. He's celebrating? After what he did? Arik stood. He buttoned his sleeves with slow, controlled precision. The kind of precision that meant someone was about to regret their choices. "All right," he said, voice calm but deadly. "Then we escalate." Mara's heart pounded. "What are you going to do?" Arik looked at her with a softness that contrasted sharply with the fury simmering beneath it. "Protect you," he said, "and make sure Cade Varen never has the power to hurt you or anyone again." Mara didn't know how, but she believed him. And for the first time since the nightmare began, she felt something new. Strength. A quiet, rising strength she hadn't known she still possessed. Cale's fingers flew across his tablet as soon as Arik gave the signal. Numbers shifted, accounts updated. Legal documents began populating faster than Mara could comprehend. Zev was already pacing by the window, cracking his knuckles, muttering curses under his breath. Arik stood at the foot of Mara's bed, posture relaxed but eyes sharp. The kind of calm that meant something devastating was being planned. Mara watched them, anxiety creeping up her spine. "What are you three doing?" "Fixing a problem," Zev said without looking at her. "A very expensive problem," Cale added. Arik finally turned toward her. "Mara, Cade thinks destroying you comes without consequences. He thinks you're alone, weak, replaceable. He's wrong." She felt her throat tighten. "But what if he retaliates? What if he tries to take the baby before she's born? What if—" Arik stepped closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Look at me." She did. "You are not fighting him," Arik said softly. "We are." Her eyes burned with tears, but she blinked them back. She didn't want to be seen as fragile. Not anymore. "Okay," she whispered. "What do you need me to do?" "Rest," Cale said without looking up. "And drink that tea. I'm tracking every account movement he makes." Zev stopped pacing long enough to glare at the wall. He posted another story. "What now?" Arik asked. Zev clicked on the screen. Another video played, Celine pouting at the camera. "This one's for anyone who's been forced to babysit a grown woman pretending to be a wife. Let it go, sis, you lost." Mara's stomach churned. She knew he would throw me out." "Of course she knew," Cale said. "She helped plan it." Zev growled. "I'll pay her a visit." "No," Arik said immediately. "We hit them through the systems they're not smart enough to understand. Kyle?" Kyle smirked. "Already on it." Mara clutched the blanket around her. "You're all doing too much. I don't want anyone to get hurt because of me." Arik shook his head. "Mara, listen carefully. You didn't cause this. Cade did. And this—" He gestured at the tablet. The phones lighting up with updates. The men prepared to move the world for her. This is what family does. Something in her chest cracked open. She wiped her cheeks again, whispering, "I missed you." Zev sat beside her and nudged her shoulder gently. "Then don't disappear again. Next time you think we're ignoring you, call, show up, break a window if you need to." That made her laugh, weak but real. Arik's phone buzzed. He answered immediately. "Yes?" Mara watched his face shift from neutral to deadly calm. "Understood," he said, ending the call. "What happened?" Cale asked. Arik turned to Mara. "The bank confirmed Cade attempted to move another 16,000 from your joint account this morning." Her heart dropped. "But there's nothing left." "There was," Cale said coldly, "until he touched it." Arik nodded once. "Freeze everything." Cale tapped a final command. "Done." Mara swallowed hard. "What happens to him when they freeze his accounts?" Zev grinned darkly. "He panics," Cale added. "He tries to reverse transactions but can't. He calls customer service, but they escalate it to fraud. He's locked out for 72 hours minimum. Arik concluded, and he realizes he underestimated you. Mara's breath trembled, not from fear this time, but from the unfamiliar sensation of being protected. But safety was fleeting. The door to the room eased open, and one of Arik's staff stepped inside, his expression tense. "Sir, we have activity." Arik straightened. "What kind?" A private investigator was spotted near the property, likely sent by Varen. Mara's blood went cold. "He's looking for me?" "Of course he is," Zev said, standing. "He wants control." Kale's fingers danced across the tablet. "I'll track his movements. Give me 10 minutes. Arik turned to Mara. "You're not going anywhere alone. Not even to get water. Understood?" She nodded, her throat tight. "Good," Arik said. "We're going to neutralize him before he even gets close." "What does that mean?" she whispered. "It means," Zev said, cracking his knuckles again, "we ruin him before he realizes the game even started." Arik shot him a look. "Legally?" Zev smirked. "Sure, legally." Mara leaned back against the pillows, exhaustion weaving through her bones. She had never imagined her life could collapse so violently in one night. She never imagined the man she once loved could become a stranger so quickly. But even with the fear, another feeling grew inside her. Resolve. She would not be erased. She would not be humiliated quietly. She would not let Cade define her story. The baby kicked again, as if echoing her thoughts. Arik noticed her wince. "Are you in pain?" "Not exactly," she said. "Just thinking." Cale glanced up. "Dangerous habit." She huffed out a laugh. I don't understand how I didn't see who he really was." Zev sat back down, rubbing a hand over his beard. "You didn't want to see it. You thought love meant patience. Cade took advantage of that." Cale added, "Predators look for women who give everything. You're generous to a fault." Mara frowned. "So it's my fault?" Arik cut in sharply. "No, it's his fault. It's always his fault." She looked down at her hands. "I feel stupid." "You're not," Zev said. "You're hurt. That's different." Cale leaned forward, tone softer. "Sometimes the smartest people get caught in the worst situations because they have the biggest hearts." Arik nodded. "Don't blame yourself. Blame him." Mara took a shaky breath. "Okay, then what do we do next?" Arik's eyes sharpened. "Next, we build the case." Before she could ask what that meant, Arik's phone buzzed again. He checked it, and his jaw tightened. "It's starting already," he said. "What is?" Mara asked. Arik turned the screen so she could see. A text message from Cade. "Where the hell are you? Come home now!" Mara's stomach twisted. He still thinks he can order me around. He wouldn't even dare. At least, not ever again. Cale said. Another message came in. "Look, I'm sorry, okay? Just come back before things get worse." Zev scoffed. "He's not sorry. He's scared." Another message. "This is your last chance, Mara." Cold dread curled around her spine. Arik placed a hand on her shoulder. "He doesn't get to threaten you. Not anymore." Mara looked up at him, fear and anger mixing inside her. "What do we do?" she whispered. Arik tapped the screen off. "We end him," he said quietly, "piece by piece." "You must be curious how then Ren to end Cade, right? So, if you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Every story we will share is a spark of hope, giving a voice, a future, and a chance to young women and every other person out there who have faced challenges one way or the other over the world. So support us by subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you never miss a story that truly matters. And we will want to hear from you. So drop a comment and tell us where you are watching from and how the story touched you. Together, we are not just watching stories unfold, we are keeping hope of a better tomorrow. The room fell into a heavy silence after Arik's words, the kind that carried more promise than threat. Mara watched all three of her brothers, men she once believed were too busy, too powerful, too distant, now united with one goal, to destroy the man who tried to destroy her. Arik slipped the phone into his pocket and sat beside her again, his expression composed but edged with something lethal. First, we document everything. The bruises, the hair, the emotional state, the financial fraud. Kale's already collecting digital evidence. We need your testimony next. Mara's breath caught. I don't know if I can talk about it. Not yet. You don't have to talk about the worst parts, Arik said gently. Just the facts. The rest we'll handle. The reassurance helped, but only a little. Her hands shook as she placed them over her belly. Zev noticed and knelt in front of her, leaning his arms on his knees. Mara, look at me. She lifted her eyes. I know you're scared. Anyone would be, but you don't have to be strong right now. That's why we're here. Let us be angry on your behalf. Let us fight for you. Her throat tightened. It doesn't feel fair. Fair? Zev laughed bitterly. Fair ended when he put his hands on you. Kale chimed in without looking up. Fair ended long before that. Probably around the time he started emptying her accounts. Arik straightened. Zev, get the camera. Mara's eyes widened. Now? Yes, Arik said. Before anything fades. Zev left the room and returned with a small professional quality camera. He set it on the dresser, angled toward the bed, then paused. You want to do it sitting or standing? He asked softly. Sitting, Mara whispered. Her legs didn't feel steady enough to hold her weight. Arik sat beside her, a steady presence. Zev positioned the camera, checked the lighting, then looked at Kale. Ready? Kale nodded, tapping something into his tablet. Time-stamped. This will hold up in court. Zev hit record. The small red light blinked. Mara inhaled shakily. You're okay, Arik murmured. Just tell the truth. She nodded slowly and began. My name is Mara Lyell, and last night my husband Cade Varon put his hands on me. He held me down while another woman cut my hair. I was pregnant, 7 months, and he didn't care. He said I ruined his life. Her voice broke, but she forced herself to continue. Tears streamed silently as she described the humiliation, the isolation, the financial manipulation. She didn't go into detail about the cutting. She couldn't, but the damage was visible enough. When she was done, she buried her face in her hands. Zev turned off the camera. That's enough, he said quietly. You did good. Kale checked the video. Clear audio. Visible injuries. Strong statement. This alone will bury him. Arik placed an arm around Mara's shoulders. She leaned into him helplessly, exhausted by the emotional weight. You never have to watch that again, he said. We'll handle the rest. A soft knock came from the doorway. A security staff member entered, holding a phone. Sir, Cade's making calls. Who? Arik asked. Your corporate office. Arik's jaw ticked. Patch it through. The staff member dialed. Arik took the phone and put it on speaker. Cade's voice blasted into the room, sharp and arrogant. Arik Lyell, I need to speak with my wife. You have her there, don't you? I know she called you. You have no right to keep her from me. She belongs with me. Zev rolled his eyes so hard his head tilted back. Mara's stomach twisted painfully. Arik's voice was ice. She doesn't belong to you? You think you can just steal my wife? Cade snarled. You think I won't get her back? She's carrying my child. She's my responsibility. Interesting, Cale murmured under his breath. Suddenly, he cares about responsibility. Arik didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You don't have a wife anymore, Cade. What you have is a pending investigation. Fraud, forgery, identity theft, medical endangerment, and that's just what we found before breakfast. There was a beat of stunned silence. Cade? Arik prompted. You're bluffing, Cade said, but the wobble in his voice betrayed him. Kyle held up his tablet showing account freezes, flagged transactions, and legal filings. We're not bluffing, he mouthed. Arik continued coolly. This is your last communication with Mara. Any further attempts will be forwarded to her legal team. You think you can keep her from me forever? Cade hissed. You think your money can... Arik hung up. Zev burst out laughing. I've waited years to hang up on that clown. Cale smirked. His financial accounts are freezing one by one. He's about 10 minutes from a meltdown. Mara stared at the phone, shaking. He sounded different. Desperate, Cale corrected. That's good. Desperate men make sloppy mistakes. Zev paced again. He's going to run to Celine next. Mara's stomach twisted. They were celebrating last night. He doesn't love me. He never did. Arik squeezed her shoulder. He loved what you gave him. Control, money, reputation, access. Never your heart. She sank back against the pillows, drained. I feel stupid for loving him. You aren't stupid, Arik said firmly. You loved in good faith. He didn't. Zev added, and we're going to make him regret that. Arik's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it and frowned. Anonymous tip. Someone just forwarded Cade's bank logs. Cale leaned over. Let me see. Arik handed him the phone. Cale's eyes scanned the data, then widened. Oh, wow. He really did it. What? Mara whispered. Cale turned the tablet toward her. Cade wasn't just stealing from you. He was stealing from investors, redirecting funds, paying his mistress from illegal accounts. He siphoned off more than $80,000 in the last quarter alone. Zev whistled. Damn, that's prison time. Mara's breath quickened. Prison? For real? For real, Cale said, and not the mild kind, the kind with long sentences. Arik took a slow breath. This changes everything. Meaning what? Mara asked, fear creeping in. Meaning, Arik said. He's not just an abuser. He's a criminal, and criminals get taken down a lot faster. Mara exhaled, overwhelmed by the whirlwind of revelations. Zev leaned against the wall. Mara, nothing is going to stop us from protecting you, and nothing is going to stop what's coming for him. Arik squeezed her hand. You're safe. I promise. Mara closed her eyes in what seemed like some level of joy because she believed him. Mara drifted in and out of sleep for the next few hours, her body still exhausted from the shock, the fear, the adrenaline. She woke to murmuring voices outside her door, her brothers speaking low, urgent, controlled. Her name came up several times, then Cade's, then the baby's. She pushed herself upright, wincing at the soreness radiating through her ribs. Before she could swing her legs off the bed, the door cracked open, and Arik stepped inside with a tray. You're awake, he said softly. Mara gave a weak nod. I didn't mean to sleep so long. You needed to, Arik replied, placing the tray on her nightstand. Eat something. The doctor says your blood pressure dipped earlier. Mara picked up the fork, but didn't lift it. Arik settled at the edge of the bed. What's wrong? She looked down, voice trembling. What if he tries to come here? What if he tries to take the baby? He's already looking for me, right? Arik reached over and tilted her chin up gently. That's impossible. How? She whispered. Because this property has a secured perimeter, 24-hour surveillance, and a full security team, Arik said. No one comes in unless I allow it. Not even the governor. Mara blinked. You know the governor. Arik shrugged, professionally. A small laugh escaped her, the first genuine one in months. Arik smiled faintly, but his eyes still carried that shadow of concern. Eat, he said again. Your body's been through enough. She forced herself to take a few bites. Her stomach turned, but she kept going. A sharp knock interrupted them. Cale entered, tablet in hand, face pale with urgency. We have a development. Arik's demeanor shifted instantly. What kind? Cale turned the tablet toward him. Kay just filed a missing person report. Mara froze. Arik's jaw clenched. Of course he did. Zev burst into the room a second later. Are you kidding me? He's playing the victim now? Cale nodded grimly. He claims Mara left the penthouse after a mental episode. He's saying she might be a danger to herself and the baby. What? Mara's breath caught. He's saying I'm unstable? Exactly, Cale said. He's setting groundwork for a custody attempt. Mara's heart pounded so hard her vision blurred for a moment. No, he can't. He can't do that. Arik stood calm as ice. He won't succeed. Filing a false report is a felony. Cale, get our legal team on the phone. Cale already had it ringing. Meanwhile, Zev's nostrils flared. I swear, if I see him... Zev, Arik warned. Focus. I am focusing, Zev snapped. Focusing on breaking his neck. Mara shook her head rapidly. Please don't. I don't want violence. I don't want anyone going to jail because of me. Zev softened instantly. Mara! I wouldn't get caught. Cale muttered without looking. Up. That is not comforting. Mara buried her face in her hands. This is all spiraling. I thought leaving was the worst part, but he's still trying to control everything. Arik placed a hand on her shoulder again. That's why you're here. That's why we're doing this. He thrives in chaos. We function in strategy. What strategy? She whispered. Arik's gaze sharpened. Exposure. Mara blinked. Exposure? He wants to use the system to manipulate your image, Arik said. So we flipped the system on him. Zev grinned. And trust me, we're very good at flipping things. Cale spoke quietly into his phone for several moments, then hung up. Our lawyers will contact the department and provide proof you're safe, under medical supervision, and not missing. They're also filing for a protective order. Mara felt her breath ease slightly. Thank you. Zev crossed his arms. Let him dig his grave. Every lie he tells becomes evidence. Mara stared at her hands. I feel like my whole life was an illusion. Arik lowered himself beside her once more. It wasn't. He was the illusion. You were real. Your love was real. He wasn't worthy of it. Tears welled again. I thought he was a good man. So did we, Zev murmured. At first. Cale raised an eyebrow. Speak for yourself. I hated him immediately. Zev rolled his eyes. Cale hates everyone immediately. That's because everyone is fella disappointed at some point, Cale replied calmly. The room fell into a tense but oddly comforting silence. Mara wiped her face and the baby kicked again, harder this time, as if demanding to be acknowledged. Zev leaned forward. She's strong. Mara placed her hand over the tiny thump. She has to be. Arik nodded. She won't have to be strong forever. That's what we're here for. Another knock rattled the door. One of Arik's guards entered. "Sir, we intercepted a call between Varen and his assistant." Arik straightened. "What did he say?" The guard cleared his throat. "He told her he has everything under control. He plans to show up at your corporate office this afternoon. He says he'll force a confrontation if necessary." Zev rubbed his hands together. "Oh, I hope he does." Mara grabbed Zev's sleeve, terrified. "Please don't engage him physically. I can't handle more violence." Zev softened immediately, covering her hand with his. "I won't touch him, not unless he tries something." Arik stepped forward. "He won't get that chance. I'm meeting him." Mara gasped. "No!" "Arik, don't. He'll twist things. He's manipulative. He'll pretend he's the victim. Arik held up a hand. "He can't manipulate me. I don't deal in emotion. I deal in fact." Kale agreed. "Arik is the last person Cade wants to confront. His logic is a weapon." "I'm going with you," Zev said. "No," Arik replied. "Yes," Zev insisted. "No," Arik repeated, sharper. Zev glared. "You're my brother. She's my sister. He's my problem too." Kale sighed. "Take him. It'll make negotiations faster." Arik rubbed his temples. "Fine, but you don't speak unless spoken to." Zev smirked. "I make no promises." Mara's heart thundered. "Please, promise me you won't let him get inside your head." Arik offered her a gentle smile, the kind that only cracked his face once every few years. "Mara, there isn't a soul alive who can get inside my head." Zev added, "And if he tries, I'll break something valuable." Kale closed his tablet. "We'll stream the interaction live to secure evidence." Mara felt dizzy. This is really happening. Arik leaned down and pressed a kiss to the top of her head, careful not to touch her uneven hair. "Rest, eat, stay with Kale. When we get back, this situation will be different." Mara touched his sleeve. "Different how?" Arik's eyes hardened. "He will no longer control the narrative." They left the room with the certainty of men who had won wars before. Mara watched them go, her heart caught between fear and hope. Her brothers were stepping into battle. And somewhere deep inside, she felt the first glimpse of power. The estate fell quiet after Arik and Zev left, leaving Mara alone with Kale and two guards stationed outside her door. Kyle remained seated at the small table in the corner, his tablet glowing softly as his fingers danced across it with surgical precision. Even in silence, his presence was grounding, a quiet, analytical force that reminded her she wasn't navigating any of this alone. Mara shifted on the bed, trying to ignore the ache in her ribs. "Kale, do you think Arik and Zev will be okay? I don't trust Cade. He's unpredictable." Kale didn't look up. "Cade isn't unpredictable. He's reactive." He tapped something decisively. "Reactiveness is easy to counter because it lacks strategy." "But he's manipulative," Mara said softly. "He twists reality. He lies so easily people believe him." Kale lifted his eyes for the first time. "Manipulators don't scare me. Predictable patterns disguised as unpredictability? Basic." He lowered his gaze again. "Arik sees through him. Zev won't let him get near Arik. You're worried because you've lived under Cade's illusions. We haven't." Mara let out a shaky exhale. "Sometimes I forget you. Three aren't just rich. You're actually powerful." Kale's lips twitched faintly. "We don't throw it around unless we have to." "And now you have to," Mara whispered. "Yes," Kale said simply. "Now we have to." She stared at her hands, tracing the faint bruises forming on her wrists, a sickening reminder of the night before. "I never imagined it would come to this." "You also didn't imagine he would put hands on you," Kale said, or isolate you, or steal from you. But he did. So now we do what must be done. Mara swallowed. He'll hate me for this. Cale gave a quiet, humorless laugh. He already hates you. Anyone who can harm the person they claim to love does not feel love. They feel possession. A hollow ache settled in her chest. She blinked back tears. I thought he loved me. You thought he was what you needed, Cale corrected gently. And he thought you were convenient. Mara pressed her hand over her belly. I don't want my daughter to grow up hearing these stories. She won't, Cale said firmly. By the time she can understand anything, Cade will be a distant memory. Before Mara could respond, Cale's tablet buzzed sharply. His brows lifted slightly. They've arrived at the office. Mara's pulse spiked. Can we see? Cale angled the tablet toward her. A discreet camera feed showed Arik and Zev walking through the lobby of the Lyle corporate headquarters, tall, composed shadows moving with purpose. The employees they passed stepped aside instinctively, whispering among themselves. Mara clutched the blanket. There he is. Cade stood near the reception desk, hair slicked, shirt crisp, face arranged in a mask of righteous indignation. Celine stood next to him, arms crossed, wearing sunglasses even though they were indoors. An act, Mara thought bitterly. A performance. Arik approached calmly, hands in his pockets. Zev walked half a step behind him, shoulders tense, jaw sharpened with restrained fury. Cade spread his arms mockingly. Arik, finally. I was starting to think you were avoiding me. Arik didn't break stride. I don't avoid people I don't consider threats. Zev smirked. Translation, you're irrelevant. Celine scoffed. Cute. The overprotective brothers swoop in to steal a pregnant woman like she's a trophy. Zev turned his head slowly toward her. Say one more word. I dare you. Zev, Arik warned softly, without looking back. Zev held up his hands, just offering options. Mara watched the feed, breath locked in her chest. Cade stepped closer to Arik, lowering his voice. Where is she? Mara needs to come home. She's not well. You know she has episodes. She gets confused, paranoid. Arik raised a hand, cutting him off effortlessly. Don't insult my intelligence, or hers. Cade blinked, thrown off his rehearsed script. Arik tilted his head slightly. Do you know what the difference is between confidence and delusion? Cade frowned. What? Confidence is earned, Arik said. Delusion is inherited, when someone believes their lies more than the truth. Zev chuckled. Congratulations, by the way. You're a prodigy in delusion. Cade's jaw tightened. Zev, stay out of this. Zev stepped forward. Touch my sister again, and you won't have a jaw. Celine scoffed. You're all dramatic. Mara is unstable. She ran out last night screaming. We're worried about her well-being. Cale paused the feed. She ran out? Interesting spin. Mara felt sick. They're lying so casually. Cale resumed the video, unimpressed. Of course they are. It's their only weapon. On screen, Arik kept his posture neutral. You filed a missing person report. You accused her of being mentally unstable. You lied about her leaving voluntarily. Cade crossed his arms. Show me proof she's okay, and I'll withdraw the report. Arik smiled, a cold, dangerous smile Mara rarely saw. You're not in a position to negotiate anything. Zev leaned close to Cade. But we are. Cade's confidence faltered. We can handle this privately. No, Arik said. We can't. You made it public when you filed that report. You escalated. Now we respond. Cade swallowed. Look, Arik cut him off again. You stole over $80,000 from investors. We have the logs. Cade froze. You drained Mara's accounts. We have the transfers. Cade's throat bobbed. You forged her signature, sold her jewelry, canceled her insurance, endangered her pregnancy. Celine shifted uncomfortably. Cade, maybe we should... Arik spoke over her. You are finished. Professionally, socially, legally. Zev stepped forward, towering over Cade. But don't worry. We'll make sure you land exactly where you belong. Behind bars. Cade finally snapped. You think you can ruin me? You think your money gives you the right to... No, Arik said coolly. Your actions did that. Mara's eyes welled with tears. Her brothers weren't yelling. They weren't threatening. They were dismantling him calmly, strategically, ruthlessly. It was everything she'd always wished she could have done herself. Celine grabbed Cade's arm. We're leaving. But Arik wasn't finished. One more thing, he said. Cade turned slowly. Stay away from Mara. Any contact, text, call, message, showing up near her becomes evidence. You have no rights to her or the baby, and soon you won't have rights to anything. Zev added, including your freedom. Cade's face twisted with a mixture of anger and fear. This isn't over. Arik's voice was soft. It is. The video cut out as Cade stormed off, dragging Celine with him. Back in the bedroom, Mara covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Cale set the tablet aside. That went well. That went, Mara whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. Better than I ever imagined. Cale nodded. Cade just realized something he never understood before. What? Mara asked. That you're not alone, Cale said. And you never were. When Cale set the tablet aside, the room fell quiet except for Mara's uneven breaths. Relief washed through her in waves, with a touch of disbelief, sorrow, and a fragile bloom of strength she wasn't used to feeling. Her brothers had stood up for her, loudly, publicly, unapologetically, watching Cade shrink under their words. It was the first time she had seen him powerless, and it changed something inside her. Cale remained seated beside her bed, studying her closely. You're crying. Mara wiped quickly at her cheeks. I don't know what these tears are. Relief? Shame? Gratitude? Maybe all of them. Cale nodded. Normal, but focus on the fact that he didn't win. Mara swallowed hard. Not yet. No, Cale said firmly. Not ever. Before she could respond, another knock came at the door. A nurse peeked inside. Miss Lyle, it's time for your next prenatal check. Mara nodded and allowed Kyle to help her stand. Her legs trembled slightly, but she forced herself to hold her weight. The nurse guided her to the adjoining medical suite, where monitors and a reclining chair waited. As the nurse prepped equipment, Mara stared at the ceiling. Do you think Cade will try something else? Cale leaned against the counter. He will definitely try something else. Men like him always do. But it won't work. How can you be so sure? He gave a small, rare smile. Because men like Arik are better at this game. Mara couldn't argue with that. The nurse applied warm gel to her belly again. The wand pressed gently, and within seconds, the rhythmic thump of her daughter's heartbeat filled the room, steady and strong. Mara's breath hitched with emotion. She's okay. She's perfect, the nurse said softly. Mara touched the monitor, imagining tiny fingers, tiny toes, a future full of safety and warmth, a future she had feared would never exist. Cale watched her silently, something like pride flickering in his eyes. You're stronger than you think, he said. She looked at him, surprised. What makes you say that? You're still here. You're still fighting. Weak people collapse. You're rebuilding. Mara let out a soft breath. I don't feel strong. That's exactly why you are, Cale replied. The medical check concluded, and Mara returned to her room. She expected more silence, but instead found Zev and Arik already there, both looking drained yet determined. You're back, Mara breathed, relief flooding her. Zev grinned wearily. Missed us? Arik hung his coat on the back of a chair. We handled it. Mara sat carefully on the bed. I saw. Zev flopped into a seat across from her. You see how he ran? Like a rabbit with a tax bill. Arik shot him a look. Zev. Zev shrugged. What? It's true. Mara laughed softly, and Zev's expression softened at the sound. Arik stepped closer. How are you feeling? Tired, she admitted, but lighter. Good, Arik said, because things are going to move quickly now. Cale entered behind them, tablet buzzing nonstop. Cade's financial collapse is accelerating. His business partners are withdrawing. Investors are freezing all collaboration until the allegations are investigated. Zev nodded with satisfaction. Good. Let him taste life without privilege. Cale added, and his lawyer reached out 30 minutes ago. He wants a civil discussion. Arik's jaw clenched. He wants to negotiate before charges hit. Mara felt her chest tighten. Do you have to meet with him again? No, Arik said. Not unless you want us to. Zev snorted. We don't negotiate with cockroaches. Mara hesitated. I want this to be over, but I also want him to face consequences. He will, Arik said. We're just speeding the process. Before Mara could reply, a notification pinged on Cale's tablet. He frowned at the screen. You all need to see this. Arik moved beside him. What is it? It's Cade, Cale said, turning the tablet so the others could see. A video. Posted 30 seconds ago. Cade sat in his office, hair slightly disheveled, tie loosened. He put on a face of manufactured sorrow. To everyone reaching out with concern, thank you. My wife Mara has been going through a difficult time mentally. Zev growled. Oh, hell no. Cale continued the feed. She left home after a breakdown. I'm doing everything I can to find her and bring her home safely. Please keep her in your thoughts. Arik's fingers curled slowly into fists. Cade's voice cracked, perfectly timed. I love her. I just want her back. Zev exploded. I'm going to... Arik snapped. No. He's lying to the whole world. He's acting like she's crazy. That's the point, Cale said calmly. He's panicking. Mara stared at the screen, jaw trembling. He's making me look unstable. Again. Arik took a slow breath, forcing composure. This is good. Mara's eyes widened. Good? Arik nodded. He's digging his own grave. Every lie he posts publicly is evidence of manipulation. Cale angled the tablet back toward himself, screen recording everything. His downfall will be beautifully documented. Mara pressed her hand over her heart. I hate that he still has a voice. I hate that people might believe him. Zev crouched beside her. Look at me. You may hate his voice, but guess what? Ours is louder. Arik added, and facts speak louder than all of us. Mara blinked rapidly, overwhelmed. Will people think I'm crazy? No, Arik said. They will think he's losing control, because he is. Another ping. Cale lifted the tablet. New leak. What now? Zev asked. Cale's eyes gleamed. Screenshots from his assistant. He told her to stick to the narrative, because he has to protect his reputation. Zev laughed. Oh, this idiot is helping us. Mara exhaled weakly. Is this ever going to end? Yes, Arik said, when he's behind bars. Cale stepped closer to Mara, There's one more thing. She tensed. What is it? Cale handed her his tablet, showing another document. A report from a private investigator hired by Cade. Her stomach dropped. He hired someone to track you, Cale said. But don't panic. We intercepted the intel. They don't know you're here. Mara covered her mouth. He's hunting me, Zev growled. He won't find you. Arik sat on the chair nearest her. Mara, listen to me. The worst part is already behind you. You escaped him. You survived him. Now we're simply cleaning the mess he made. Mara's eyes filled again. I don't want him near my daughter. He won't be, Arik said calmly. Zev nodded. He won't even be near a daylight window when we're done. That made her laugh through tears. Arik leaned forward, voice steady. Mara, this story doesn't end with you running. It ends with you standing. She swallowed hard. I want that. Zev rested a hand on her shoulder. Then that's exactly what you'll get. The next 48 hours moved like a storm, fast, loud, and irreversible. By the following morning, Cade's fabricated narrative began unraveling publicly. His assistant leaked more screenshots, showing him celebrating with Celine the night he kicked Mara out. An investor anonymously released the forged bank transaction logs. And someone posted a grainy clip of him and Celine laughing at the penthouse while Mara's hair lay scattered across the floor like discarded feathers. Mara couldn't watch it. She didn't need to. Arik, Zev, and Kyle saw everything for her, shielding her from the worst while ensuring none of it went unnoticed legally. But despite the chaos swirling online, the estate felt strangely peaceful, protective, safe. On the third morning, Mara woke feeling lighter. Not healed, not yet, but clearer, stronger. She eased herself out of bed and walked out onto the balcony, one hand on her belly, the other gathering the robe around her shoulders. Soft sunlight warmed her face. For the first time in months, breathing didn't hurt. She didn't hear footsteps, but she sensed the shift in the air as Arik approached. He stepped beside her, eyes scanning the horizon. "You're up early," he said. "I couldn't sleep anymore," Mara replied softly. "My mind is awake. For once." Arik nodded. "That's a good sign. Healing often starts quietly." She turned to him. "Is everything still happening?" "Oh, yes," Arik said calmly. "And faster now." Zev opened the balcony door next, carrying 2 mugs of tea and a plate of toast. "Our sister is awake," he announced proudly, "which means I made breakfast." "You supervised someone making breakfast," Cale said, appearing behind him. Zev shot him a look. "Same thing." Mara smiled as Zev placed a mug into her hands. "Thank you." Zev grinned. "If you weren't pregnant, I'd pour you whiskey. But tea works." Cale stepped forward. "We need to prepare you for something today." Mara's heart tightened. "What?" Arik met her eyes. "The district attorney contacted us. They want your statement, officially." Fear rippled through her chest. "Do I have to see Cade?" "No," Arik said immediately. "It'll be here. Private. Controlled. Just you, your lawyer, and the DA." Zev leaned against the railing. "You don't have to be strong during it. Cry, scream, throw something. We'll clean up." Cale nodded. "Your truth is enough. The evidence fills in the rest." Mara exhaled slowly. "Okay, I'll do it." "That's our girl," Zev said. Hours later, the DA arrived with a quiet, professional presence. Mara sat in the living room, with her brothers nearby but out of view, giving her space while staying close enough that she felt anchored. With trembling hands, she recounted the truth, the isolation, the blocked calls, The financial theft, the forged documents, the night she was assaulted. Celine cutting her hair while Cade held her down, the rain. She didn't cry, not this time. The DA listened, horrified but steady. When Mara finished, the room felt different, heavier but cleaner, honest. "You've been through more than most people survive," the DA said gently. "We're going to get justice for you and your child. You have my word." When the DA left, Mara collapsed into Zev's arms. He hugged her tightly, but carefully around her belly. "I'm proud of you," he murmured. "I didn't break this time," she whispered. "You didn't break at all," he corrected. "You bent. You survived. That's strength." Later that evening, Arik received the call all of them had been expecting. But still, somehow, it hit harder than anticipated. Cale answered it on speaker so they could all hear. "This is Detective Harris. We've issued an arrest warrant for Cade Varon." Mara's breath caught. Her pulse hammered. "He will be arrested tonight," the detective continued. "We'll keep you updated." Arik thanked him, hung up, and turned toward Mara. "It's happening," he said quietly. Mara pressed a hand to her chest. "He's going to jail?" "Yes," Cale replied. "And he will stay there until trial." Zev smirked. "I hope the floor of the holding cell is cold." Arik shot him a look. "Zev." "What?" "I do." Mara didn't laugh this time. She just stood still, letting the moment sink into her bones. It was over. Not finished, not fully closed, but the nightmare's power over her was broken. Hours later, news alerts flooded their phones. Videos, photos, statements. Cade Varon, arrested outside his office in handcuffs. Celine cried dramatically behind him. Cade shouted at reporters that he was set up, and framed, and betrayed. Mara watched a few seconds of the footage, then clicked it off. For the first time, his voice didn't shake her. His face didn't terrify her. He looked small, insignificant, broken in ways she no longer felt responsible for. A sudden sharp kick from the baby made her gasp softly. Zev rushed to her side. "You okay?" "She kicked," Mara whispered, smiling through tears. "Maybe she felt the moment." Arik placed a hand on her shoulder. "She knows her mother survived." Mara looked around the room, at the brothers who stood unshakably beside her, at the warmth of the estate that felt more like home than anywhere she'd lived with Cade, at the safety she had once believed she would never feel again. "I want to live," she said suddenly. Cale raised an eyebrow. "You are living." "No," Mara said, her voice steadying. "I mean really live. Build something. Something that helps women who've been through what I've been through. Women who don't have 3 brothers with armies behind them." Arik nodded slowly. "A foundation?" Mara's eyes filled. "Yes." Zev lit up. "Oh, that's going to piss him off from prison." Mara laughed, wiping tears. "Good." Cale crossed his arms. "And it will change lives. We'll help you structure it." Arik squeezed her hand. "Whatever you build, we'll back it." The months that followed were healing in ways Mara once believed impossible. Therapy sessions, nursery preparations, legal victories as charges stacked against Cade, support from her brothers as she rebuilt everything he tried to steal. And then, on a bright, soft morning, her daughter arrived, Zaria Lyle. She looked perfect, strong. Mara held her close, whispering promises into her soft curls. "You will never know the darkness I walked through. You will grow in light. I swear to everything I hold secret." The foundation launched 3 months later, the Renewal Project, providing financial literacy, emergency housing, legal resources, and emotional support for survivors of emotional and financial abuse. Donations poured in. Volunteers joined. Women came with broken stories and left with strength. One evening, as she rocked Zaria to sleep on the balcony, the city lights flickering below, Mara whispered to her daughter, "They kicked me out to break me, but I found myself instead." She kissed Zaria's forehead and looked into the camera that recorded her final message for the video. And to everyone watching, thank you for staying with me till the end. If you believe no one cares about your story, you're wrong. Someone does. I do. And this community does. Don't forget to like, comment, and hit the subscribe button. Your engagement helps stories like this reach more people who need hope. You're not alone. Not anymore. So, until the next story, stay strong, stay hopeful, stay inspired.